Could this be the lineup that saves the Chicago Bulls season? Let's talk about it. Welcome into the Bulls Report by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in. This lineup for the Chicago Bulls has worked really well, and we especially saw it against the Minnesota Timberwolves, specifically the double bigs of Andre Drummond at the 4 and Nikola Vucevic at the 5. We'll be diving into stats and more on today's show. We'll just start off with Vuce and Andre Drummond. Those two together, what are their stats looking like in per net rating? So net rating overall, when those two are on the floor at the same time, they're a plus 8.4. Their offensive rating, one of the best in the NBA, sits at 123.7. Pretty dang good. And then their defensive rating, which is at the bottom half of the NBA, but it's still at 115.2. But overall, this lineup creates multiple problems for teams, and we saw this lineup absolutely dominate the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves came in that one night, they jumped on the Bulls, they got about a 20-point lead, and then the Bulls just continuously fought back, and a lot of that big reason was because of Andre Drummond hitting the offensive glass. And then you also pair him up with Vuce. The Bulls just got this huge size component, and they actually matched up well with another big lineup in the NBA that plays really well in Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I'm a big fan of this lineup, and I think it offers a ton of positives to the way the Bulls play the game. The number one positive that we've already talked about right here is just the overall size. I mean, when you are truly running, whether it's Caruso or Patrick Williams at the 3, that man, and then pair that up with Drummond and Vuce, no matter who you are playing, even if it is the Timberwolves who run a double big lineup, you are one of the bigger lineups in the NBA. And I think we've seen over the past couple of seasons, if you start looking at the NBA champions, they're all very big and physical teams. You take the Golden State Warriors out of it, mainly because they have Steph Curry, one of the greatest anomalies in NBA history, as he has been, truly only one of the small players to win an NBA championship as the best player. But you look at the Bucks, when they won with Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. You look at the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon. It's these big teams in the NBA that are really starting to, have some real success, especially when postseason time comes around. Number 2, another big positive of this lineup, the overall offensive rebounding. And you can chalk a lot of this up to Andre Drummond. I think he's by far the second best, or if not the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, either him or Mitchell Robinson. You can kind of pick your poison with those. But I like this because it also helps kind of Drummond on the offensive side of the floor. He can just only be an offensive rebounder because you still have Vuce working out of the post, working out of that top of the key area on the pick and pop game. But a huge positive of this is just the offensive reboundings and the extra shots that the Bulls do get. Number 3, open shots. I swear, when I watch this lineup against the Timberwolves, you have those two just kind of manning the middle. Everything else opens up because the defense has to pay attention to it. And plus, I think these two actually go well together. I mean, this is also kind of like a high school coach talk, but they always talk about inside-out threes. It's always easier to catch and shoot a three-pointer when it's coming from the inside out instead of it side to side. And when you hit the offensive glass, Big gets the rebound, turn around, kick it out to the three-point arc. It's just easier for your shooters to get open shots. And we even saw guys like Caruso, just flow of the offense during this lineup. They get a lot more open looks, and I think it's a huge benefit to running these two bigs. But also, probably the player that gets benefited the most out of this is not Nikola Vucevic. I think it's still Coby White. Like, having these guys, and both of them, even though Vuce can drive me crazy sometimes, he's an elite screen setter in the NBA. Same with Andre Drummond. I've really seen, they were running this kind of horn set where they would have Drummond and Vuce come set the screen, and he would come off Vuce's side. He would go to the pop spot, and Drummond would go to the roll, and it just offers problems for other defenses. And then it leaves Coby White. He can kind of attack the opposing defender, and he can get a lot of open looks. Also with this lineup, you do have elite shot making with Coby White. But you also have DeMar DeRozan in here. And I like this because those two guys, they are getting all of the shots. Like Drummond, yes, Vuce can run some plays out of the post for him, but Drummond and Caruso aren't really manning the ball offensively. They're just taking shots in the flow of the offense, but you still have elite shot making with this group. This is the 5 positives I thought of with this lineup. And the biggest one out of all with this lineup is Andre Drummond heading to the starting unit. I mean, these stats when he starts games this season are ridiculous. This is all NBA numbers for Mr. Drummond. 13.8 points per game, 17 rebounds a night, shooting 55% from the field, and actually showing some defensive capability at 1.7 blocks per game. And it gets me to this point. Drummond just needs more minutes in the second half of this season. I think we've seen his impact. Not only hitting the offensive glass, but just being a guy, you can just drop it off to him, and he can hit that nice little push shot. I think Drummond offers a lot more than just offensive rebounding than people think. And honestly, let's just say the Bulls want to just run one big lineup the rest of the season. I can make an argument Vooch and Drummond should probably split those minutes. I don't really see a difference between them. But I think the Bulls' best lineup is when they're on the floor at the same time. And this is by far the Chicago Bulls' best lineup they can run. It is when Kobe White is manning the point guard, Alex Caruso is manning the shooting guard, DeMar DeRozan at the 3, and then the bigs, 4 and 5, being Drummond and Nikola Vucevic. And this net rating for this group is at 30.1. That is the second best in the NBA that has at least played 31 minutes. Second best in the entire league. Out of every 5-man combination you can think of that played at least 31 minutes so far this season, that lineup you just saw on screen is the second best in the entire NBA. I think the Bulls need to go to it more. Not even just when you're playing a team like the Timberwolves where they run a double big unit, but go run that against a smaller unit. Make them change to you. Make them adapt to what you are trying to accomplish, and I think it could really work out for the Bulls. I think this unit just offers so many just different ways you can attack another team. Like you have the shot making in Kobe White and DeRozan. You have a guy you can throw the ball to in the low block in Nikola Vucevic. You have that offensive rebounder in Andre Drummond. Then you got the best defender in the NBA in Alex Caruso. This is my best lineup for the Bulls, but I want to ask you guys, what is your best lineup for the Bulls when healthy for the second half of the season? We obviously know Patrick Williams has missed some time. Maybe you think he should be in there instead of maybe DeMar or Caruso. But let me know your thoughts down below. What is your best lineup for the Bulls when healthy? We'll get to more about that lineup and just overall how the Bulls shake out in the Eastern Conference right now in a second. But I want to give a huge shout out to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And how do you play? All you got to do, you're going to choose 2 or more players, choose more or less on some projected stat types. You guys can start seeing the cash roll in today. You may be saying to yourself, Patrick, well, the NBA is not back yet. What else can I play on Prize Picks? They got NHL, college basketball, soccer, and the PGA Tour going on right now. There's countless of things you guys can make plays on. So make sure you guys get hooked up today. prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. You guys will get a first deposit match up to $100. Because I like you guys so much, I'm going to put that link for you guys in the comments section and description of today's show. So don't sleep on the Chicago Bulls. Now, listen, I understand that Bulls fans may be down. We wanted them to make trades at the NBA trade deadline, and I get it. But when I really started looking into the overall deep numbers, deep analytics of this lineup that we were talking about, I think they could seriously cause issues because I am a huge fan of Andre Drummond. And yes, Nikola Vucevic drives me crazy when it is just him on the floor. But I love his game when it is paired up with Drummond. I think it just brings the best out of him. I think it can help him focus on kind of his positives of his game, and Drummond kind of, is that yin to his yang that kind of mask over, his weaknesses. But right now, how the Eastern Conference shakes out, and why I say don't sleep on the Bulls here, because I'll say this. If the Bulls, they're going to get matched up with the Atlanta Hawks in that first play-in game. There's no doubt about that. We know what the Bulls have done to the Hawks in the past years. They have absolutely dominated them. Ayo Dosunmu has cooked Trae Young, and they just overall cause him a ton of issues. Then if, let's just say, you get the Heat or the Magic for that last playoff spot, let's just say it's the Magic, a young and up-and-coming team, listen, they're a hell of a basketball team, but I would almost trust a guy like DeMar DeRozan to be the best player in that game, and even a guy like Kobe White, I think, more than other players on the Magic. And plus, hey, that double big lineup, a little Nikola Vucevic revenge game as well in that play-in tournament game, potentially. I would take the Bulls coming out of the play-in, and that would leave the big old bad Boston Celtics in round 1. And personally, as a Bulls fan, give me that any day of the week. I understand that, yes, when the bookmakers out west would put the odds out for this series, the Bulls might be double-digit underdogs in every single game. But if you guys remember, when the Bulls, and totally different teams, I get it, when the Celtics had Isaiah Thomas and they were the number 1 seed and the Bulls had Rondo, D. Wade, and Jimmy Butler, they got up 2-0 in Boston. And then obviously we know what happened. Rondo hurt his hand and then went downhill from there. But why not us? Why couldn't the Bulls? I mean, we've seen it last year with the Miami Heat. They knocked off the number 1 seed. What if Porzingis goes down? What if Drew Holiday gets an injury? And they are an incredibly top-heavy team. And what if the Bulls, just that grit and grind that they play with Drummond, Patrick Williams, and Caruso, could cause problems for Boston? I like the matchup of Williams guarding Tatum and Brown. Hey, man, just don't sleep on the Bulls. Why not us? I'm starting to talk myself into it. The Bulls potentially beating the Boston Celtics in round 1. But I do want to say, first off, thank you guys so much for watching today's show. And if you guys like today's show, a little bit of a different style of show we did. I'm not really diving into the news and rumors part of it. Just kind of want to get my takes out there and talk more hoops with you guys. So if you guys like this style of video, show us. Hit that subscribe button. Lock us in as your go-to Bulls YouTube channel. And also, if you guys want to be extra nice, like today's video as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. That was my thoughts on the best Bulls lineup for this season.